Presidents of the USA Richard Nixon and Herbert Hoover had what religious upbringing? Quaker. Both Richard Nixon and Herbert Hoover were raised in the Quaker tradition, a Protestant denomination known for its pacifism, social activism, and commitment to peace. Their Quaker upbringing is often cited as an influence on aspects of their personal values and public service. Sacre-Cœur Basilica is in which European city? Paris. The Sacre-Cœur Basilica, a prominent Roman Catholic church, is located at the summit of Montmartre in Paris, France. It is renowned for its distinctive white architecture and panoramic views of the city, serving as both a religious site and a major tourist attraction. Which play by John Osborne features a character called Archie Rice, a part written for Laurence Olivier, who played it on stage and in a 1960 film version? The Entertainer. John Osborne's play, The Entertainer, critically examines the decline of post-imperial Britain through the life of Archie Rice, a failing music hall comedian. Laurence Olivier's iconic portrayal of Archie Rice in both the stage and film adaptations brought widespread acclaim to the work. Amelia Earhart is famous for what area of activity? Aviation. Amelia Earhart was a pioneering American aviation trailblazer, famous for her significant contributions to the field. She was the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean, breaking gender barriers and inspiring future generations in exploration and aviation. According to the Bible's book of Genesis, the 5 cities of the plain near the Dead Sea were Admah, Zebolim, Zor, formerly Zor, Gomorrah and which other? Sodom. The 5 cities of the plain, as mentioned in the book of Genesis in the Bible, are significant in religious history, primarily known for their destruction due to the wickedness of their inhabitants. Sodom and Gomorrah are the most frequently cited of these cities, often used as symbols of divine judgment. Which British intellectual socialist group, formed in London in 1884, included George Bernard Shaw, H. G. Wells, Virginia Woolf, Ramsay MacDonald, Emmeline Pankhurst, and Bertrand Russell among its members? The Fabian Society. The Fabian Society is a British socialist organisation established in 1884, advocating for gradual, reformist socialist change rather than revolutionary action. It significantly influenced the Labour Party and British social policy, with many prominent intellectuals and political figures among its early members. Who is credited with the invention of the rotary internal combustion engine, notably introduced by NSU in their Ro 80 feet in 1967 and later popularized by Mazda in their RX models, starting with the RX-2 in 1970. Felix Wankel. Felix Wankel was a German mechanical engineer who invented the Wankel engine, a type of internal combustion engine that uses a rotary design instead of reciprocating pistons. This innovative design, patented in 1929, offered advantages like compactness and smooth operation, although it also presented engineering challenges. Which inert gas is commonly used inside incandescent light bulbs? Argon. Argon is an inert gas commonly used in incandescent light bulbs to prevent the tungsten filament from oxidizing and evaporating too quickly. Its inert nature inhibits chemical reactions, thereby extending the bulb's lifespan and maintaining its efficiency. Who was awarded the Pritzker Prize, considered architecture's highest honor, in 2003 for his design of the Sydney Opera House, a multi-venue performing arts centre located on Bennelong Point in Sydney, Australia? Jan Utzon. Jan Utzon was the Danish architect responsible for designing the iconic Sydney Opera House, a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the 20th century's most distinctive buildings. Although he left the project before its completion, his groundbreaking design eventually earned him the Pritzker Prize in 2003. The clipper ship, Dunedin, gained prominence for its significant 98-day voyage in 1882 to London. From which country did it depart, pioneering the refrigerated meat trade? New Zealand. The clipper ship Dunedin made history in 1882 by successfully transporting the first frozen meat shipment from Port Chalmers, New Zealand, to London, arriving after a 98-day voyage. This groundbreaking journey marked the beginning of New Zealand's frozen meat industry and revolutionized global food trade. What is the name for the study of the advent and evolution of biological systems in the universe, with particular emphasis on the possibility of non-terrestrial life? Astrobiology. Astrobiology is an interdisciplinary scientific field concerned with the origins, early evolution, distribution, and future of life in the universe. It combines elements of biology, physics, chemistry, astronomy, and geology to study the possibility of life beyond Earth. What legendary island is said to have sunk? Atlantis. Atlantis is a mythical island mentioned in Plato's dialogues, particularly Timaeus and Critias, described as a naval power that sank into the ocean in a single day and night of misfortunes. Its story has intrigued scholars and enthusiasts for centuries, inspiring numerous works of fiction and archaeological quests. When is International Women's Day? The 8th of March. International Women's Day is celebrated globally on March 8 each year to commemorate the cultural, political, and socio-economic achievements of women. It also serves as a focal point in the women's rights movement, bringing attention to issues such as gender equality, reproductive rights, and violence and abuse against women. What was signed to end World War I? The Treaty of Versailles. The Treaty of Versailles was the most important of the peace treaties that brought World War I to an end, signed by Germany and the Allied powers on June 28, 1919, in the Palace of Versailles, France. It officially ended the war between Germany and the Allied powers, imposing significant territorial, military, and economic reparations on Germany. What is the height of a triangle with an area of 16 square meters and a base 4 meters long? 8 meters. The area of a triangle is calculated using the formula A equals 1/2 asterisk base asterisk height. Given an area of 16 square meters and a base of 4 meters, we can rearrange the formula to find the height. Height equals 2 asterisk area base. Therefore, height equals 2 asterisk 16, 4 equals 32 quarters equals 8 meters. Who holds the record for having received the most Grammy Awards? Sir Georg Solti. Sir Georg Solti, a Hungarian-British conductor, holds the record for the most Grammy Awards won by an individual, with a total of 31 competitive awards from 74 nominations. His illustrious career in classical music spanned over 5 decades, establishing him as one of the 20th century's most acclaimed conductors. Which Olympic Games were the first to be telecast worldwide? Tokyo, 1964. The 1964 Summer Olympics, held in Tokyo, Japan, marked a significant milestone as they were the first Olympic Games to be broadcast internationally via satellite. This pioneering use of communication satellite technology allowed the event to be seen live across a wider global audience, revolutionizing sports broadcasting and international media coverage. What ceremony is sometimes called obsequies? Funeral. Obsequies is a formal term referring to funeral rites or ceremonies, particularly those performed for a deceased person. The word emphasizes the rituals and observances associated with burial or cremation, often reflecting cultural and religious traditions surrounding death and mourning. Which village, now a suburb of Dublin, was famed for an annual rowdy fair that was held between 1204 and 1855? Donnybrook. Donnybrook Fair was a famous annual fair held in Donnybrook, Dublin, from the 13th century until its suppression in 1855. Initially a reputable event, it gradually gained a reputation for riotous behavior, drunkenness, and fighting, leading to the coining of the term, Donnybrook, for a brawl or dispute. Why did Larry Doby become famous in the history of baseball when he joined the Cleveland Indians in 1947? He was the first black player in the American League. Larry Doby made history by becoming the first African American player in the American League when he joined the Cleveland Indians in July 1947, just months after Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier in the National League. His pioneering role was crucial in the integration of professional baseball, facing similar racial prejudice but paving the way for future generations of black athletes. Who brought together dramatist W. S. Gilbert and composer Arthur Sullivan and nurtured their collaboration on 13 operas from Trial by Jury, 1875, to The Grand Duke, or The Statutory Duel, 1896. Richard D'Oyly Carte. Richard D'Oyly Carte was an English impresario who famously united W. S. Gilbert and Arthur Sullivan, fostering their collaboration to create the celebrated series of Savoy operas. He also built the Savoy Theatre in London specifically to showcase their works, establishing a lasting legacy in British musical theatre. What name did Pol Pot give to the ideology that he forced on the people of Democratic Kampuchea? Year Zero. Year Zero was the concept implemented by Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge regime in Cambodia, aiming to completely restructure society by purging all foreign influences, capitalism, and modern institutions. This brutal policy led to the Cambodian genocide, seeking to revert the country to an agrarian, classless society. Joseph Marie Jacquard invented the punch card in 1801 as a means of automating what process? Weaving in patterns. Joseph Marie Jacquard invented the Jacquard loom in 1801, which used a series of punched cards to automatically control the weaving of intricate patterns in fabric. This innovation was a significant step in automation and mechanical programming, laying foundational concepts that would later influence the development of computing. What glands produce adrenaline and cortisol? Suprarenal. The suprarenal glands, more commonly known as adrenal glands, are endocrine glands located above the kidneys. They produce vital hormones like adrenaline, epinephrine, which plays a key role in the body's fight or flight response, and cortisol, essential for metabolism, immune function, and stress response regulation. For what was the Italian Enrico Caruso famous? Opera singing. Enrico Caruso was an immensely influential Italian operatic tenor, widely regarded as one of the greatest singers in history. His powerful voice, dramatic interpretations, and pioneering recording career helped popularize opera globally in the early 20th century, making him one of the first international music superstars. Which dictator was known as Il Duce? Mussolini. Il Duce, meaning the leader, was the title adopted by Benito Mussolini, the fascist dictator of Italy from 1925 to 1943. He was a pivotal figure in the rise of fascism and led Italy into World War II. Why is the city of Williamsburg, the capital of Virginia, so named? After King William III of England. Williamsburg, a historically significant city in Virginia, served as the capital of the Virginia colony from 1699 to 1780. It was named in honor of King William III of England, reflecting the colonial ties to the British monarchy. Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, SETI, is the collective name for a number of activities to search for extraterrestrial life using scientific methods to search for what, specifically? Electromagnetic transmissions. SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, is a scientific endeavor focused on detecting intelligent life beyond Earth. It primarily involves analyzing electromagnetic transmissions, such as radio signals, that could indicate technological civilizations. Bondi Beach is near which city? Sydney. Bondi Beach is one of Australia's most famous beaches, renowned for its golden sands and surfing opportunities. It is located approximately 7 kilometers east of the Sydney Central Business District in New South Wales, Australia. What book was published by Immanuel Kant in 1781? The Critique of Pure Reason. Critique of Pure Reason is a seminal work by the German philosopher Immanuel Kant, first published in 1781. This foundational text in Western philosophy examines the nature of human knowledge and the limits of reason. According to the Bible, who was the cousin of Mordecai? Esther. In the Old Testament book of Esther, Esther is portrayed as the cousin and adopted daughter of Mordecai. She later became queen of Persia and played a crucial role in saving her people, the Jews, from persecution. What was the historical maximum prescribed number of members in the College of Cardinals, the Supreme Council of the Roman Catholic Church? 70. Historically, Pope Sixtus V established a maximum of 70 cardinals in the College of Cardinals in 1586, mirroring the 70 elders of Israel. This limit was maintained for centuries until Pope John XXIII began expanding it in 1958, and subsequent popes, notably Paul VI, increased the number of cardinal electors to 120. Where was the Bagram airfield located? Afghanistan. Bagram Airfield was a major U.S. military base in Afghanistan, approximately 11 kilometers southeast of Charikar in Parwan province. It served as a key strategic hub for coalition forces for 2 decades following the 2001 invasion, before its withdrawal in July 2021. T. E. Lawrence was famously known as Lawrence of which region? Arabia. Thomas Edward Lawrence, a British archaeologist, army officer, diplomat, and writer, gained fame for his pivotal role in the Arab revolt against the Ottoman Empire during World War I. His exploits and influential writings, particularly Seven Pillars of Wisdom, earned him the iconic moniker, Lawrence of Arabia. In the International Code of Signals, which letter is represented by a rectangular flag with a white square centered on a blue field? The letter P, also known as the Blue Peter. In the International Code of Signals, a blue rectangular flag with a white square in the center represents the letter P. This flag is commonly known as the Blue Peter, and is historically used at sea to signal that a vessel is about to depart or is preparing to sail. After whom is Charleston, a major city in South Carolina, named? King Charles II of England. The city of Charleston, South Carolina, was originally named Charlestown in 1670 in honor of King Charles II of England. It quickly grew into a significant port city and cultural center in the American South, eventually becoming known by its present name, Charleston. Rat Island, where an invasive species eradication program concluded in 2009 after a centuries-long infestation, is located in which U.S. state? Alaska. Rat Island, part of the Aleutian Islands in Alaska, experienced a severe infestation of Norway rats following a Japanese shipwreck in 1780. A successful eradication program completed in 2009 led to the island's renaming to Hawadax Island, which means welcome in the Aningam Tanu language, reflecting its ecological recovery. What is a Mohammedan sect which reveres Ali, cousin of Muhammad, believing him to be Muhammad's rightful successor? Shiite. Shiism is one of the 2 main branches of Islam, differing from Sunni Islam primarily in its belief that Ali ibn Abi Talib, Muhammad's son-in-law and cousin, was the rightful successor to the Prophet. This theological and political divergence originated in the 7th century over leadership succession after Muhammad's death. The greater part of Lake Maggiore is in which country? Italy. Lake Maggiore is the second largest lake in Italy and the largest in southern Switzerland. Approximately 80% of its surface area and most of its shoreline lie within Italian territory, with the remaining part in the Swiss canton of Ticino. What was an American post-World War II art movement beginning in New York City that was the first specifically American movement to achieve worldwide influence? Abstract Expressionism. Abstract Expressionism emerged in the 1940s in New York City, becoming the first truly indigenous American art movement to gain international acclaim. Characterized by large-scale, non-representational paintings and a focus on spontaneous, emotional expression, key figures included Jackson Pollock and Mark Rothko. In 1978, Italian Prime Minister Aldo Moro was found dead where? In the boot of a car. Aldo Moro, former Prime Minister of Italy, was kidnapped by the Red Brigade's terrorist group in March 1978. After 55 days of captivity, his body was discovered in the boot of a car in Rome, a politically charged assassination that deeply impacted Italian society and politics. The Principia Mathematica, a 3-volume work on the foundations of mathematics published in 1910, 1912 and 1913, with a second edition in 1927, was co-written by Bertrand Russell and who else? Alfred North Whitehead. Principia Mathematica is a monumental 3-volume work on the foundations of mathematics, co-authored by Bertrand Russell and Alfred North Whitehead. Published between 1910 and 1913, it aimed to derive all mathematical truths from a small set of axioms and inference rules using symbolic logic. The Society for the Prevention of an Unwholesome Diet was a 19th-century activist group dedicated to keeping what out of Britain? Potatoes. The Society for the Prevention of an Unwholesome Diet was a rather eccentric 19th-century British group that advocated against the consumption of potatoes. They believed potatoes were unhealthy and un-British, reflecting broader anxieties and dietary trends of the era, despite potatoes becoming a staple food. Who was crowned King of Scotland in 1306 and defeated the forces of Edward II at Bannockburn in 1314? Robert Bruce. Robert the Bruce was crowned King of Scots in 1306 and is revered as one of Scotland's greatest national heroes. He secured Scotland's independence from England with his decisive victory over Edward II at the Battle of Bannockburn in 1314, a pivotal moment in Scottish history. Prior to its independence in 1964, the Mediterranean island of Malta belonged to which country? Great Britain. The island nation of Malta was a British colony for over 160 years, gaining its independence in 1964. Its strategic location in the Mediterranean made it a crucial naval base for the British Empire, especially during both World Wars. What is another name for pain in one or more nerves? Neuralgia. Neuralgia is a type of pain that occurs along the path of a nerve, often described as burning, sharp, or stabbing. It is caused by nerve damage or irritation, which can result from various conditions such as infection, compression, or inflammation. On which continent are the Himalayas located? Asia. The Himalayas are a mountain range in Asia, separating the plains of the Indian subcontinent from the Tibetan plateau. They are home to the world's highest peaks, including Mount Everest, and are a significant geographical feature impacting the climate and ecology of a vast region. Where did Adolf Hitler spend his final days in Berlin? Bunker. Adolf Hitler spent his last days in a bunker beneath the Reich Chancellery in Berlin during the Battle of Berlin in April 1945. He committed suicide there on April 30, 1945, as Soviet forces advance. Who would typically use a Hue et al.? A Mexican drummer. A Hue et al. Is a percussion instrument originating from pre-Columbian Mesoamerica, particularly associated with Aztec culture. It is a vertical drum, usually made from a hollow tree trunk, and played with the hands. What is the sum of the digits of the product when any integer between 1 and 9, inclusive, is multiplied by 9? 9. This is a property of the number 9 in base 10. For any integer, n, where 1 is less than or equal to n is less than or equal to 9, the product 9n will have digits that sum to 9, e.g., 9 times 1 equals 9, sum equals 9, 9 times 2 equals 18, sum equals 1 plus 8 equals 9, 9 times 9 equals 81, sum equals 8 plus 1 equals 9. This property holds true for multiples of 9, where the sum of the digits of any multiple of 9 is also a multiple of 9, ultimately reducing to 9 if the sum is iterated. Who is the next recipient in this chronological series of Nobel Prize winners in physics? Max von Laue, 1914, W. L. Bragg, W. H. Bragg, 1915, Charles Bakler, 1917, Max Planck, 1918, Johannes Stark, 1919, Charles Edouard Guillaume, 1920. Albert Einstein. The series lists Nobel laureates in physics chronologically. Albert Einstein was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1921 for his services to theoretical physics, and especially for his discovery of the law of the photoelectric effect, making him the next in this sequence. The Greeks constructed hippodromes for holding what events? Chariot and horse races. Hippodromes were ancient Greek stadiums primarily used for chariot racing and horse racing, often central to Panhellenic games like the Olympics. These events were significant cultural and religious spectacles in ancient Greece, showcasing athletic prowess and engineering. What is the name for the chemical signals that trigger a natural response in another member of the same species that affect behavior or physiology? Pheromones. Pheromones are chemical signals released by an organism into the environment that affect the behavior or physiology of other members of the same species. They play crucial roles in communication, such as attracting mates, marking territory, or signaling danger, across various animal species. What do the 13 stripes on the US flag represent? The original 13 colonies that became the USA. The 13 stripes on the flag of the United States of America represent the original 13 colonies that declared independence from Great Britain and formed the United States. This design element commemorates the nation's foundational history and its beginnings as a union of sovereign states. Which 20th century Irish playwright wrote, Juno and the Peacock, The Plough and the Stars, Silver Tassie, and Within the Gates? Sean O'Casey. Sean O'Casey was a prominent Irish dramatist and memoirist of the 20th century, renowned for his realistic plays depicting the struggles and resilience of Dublin's working class. His major works, including Juno and the Peacock and The Plough and the Stars, are critical to understanding Irish literary modernism and the political turmoil of his era. Why did the Mars Climate Orbiter, launched on the 11th of December 1998, drift off course during its voyage and enter a much lower orbit than planned before being destroyed by atmospheric friction? A faulty computer software specification. The Mars Climate Orbiter failed due to a critical software error where one team used imperial units, pounds force, for propulsion calculations, while another team used metric units, Newton seconds. This unit mismatch led to incorrect trajectory adjustments, causing the spacecraft to enter the Martian atmosphere at too low an altitude and disintegrate. What is the best-known work of Danish-Icelandic sculptor Edward Eriksson, which he completed in 1913, that sits on a rock in the Copenhagen harbor at Langelinie? The Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid is a bronze statue by Edward Eriksson, unveiled in 1913, located on a rock by the waterside at the Langelinie Promenade in Copenhagen, Denmark. Inspired by Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tale, it has become a cultural icon and a major tourist attraction, symbolizing the city. What word was used by poets and 19th-century Irish nationalists in English as a romantic name for Ireland, and is sometimes given to the female personification of Ireland? Erin. Erin is a poetic and romantic name for Ireland, derived from Éire, the Irish name for the country. It gained popularity in the 19th century among Irish nationalists and poets, often used as a female personification of Ireland, evoking a sense of patriotism and cultural identity. Why is Harvard University named after John Howard, a young clergyman from the London borough of Southwark, England? He bequeathed the college his library of 400 books and £779. John Howard was an early benefactor of the college, donating his entire library of 400 volumes and half of his estate, which amounted to £779. His contribution was crucial in the early development of the institution, leading the General Court of Massachusetts to name the college in his honor in 1638. The second longest river in China, the Yellow River, is known locally as what? Huanghe. The Yellow River, or Huanghe, is the second longest river in China and the sixth longest river system in the world. It is known as the cradle of Chinese civilization, because its basin was the birthplace of ancient Chinese civilization. The river's distinctive yellow color comes from the vast amounts of loess sediment it carries. The British Royal Mint, established in the Tower of London in 1279 and moved to an adjacent site on Tower Hill in 1809, is now situated where? Llantrisong, South Wales. The British Royal Mint, responsible for producing coinage for the United Kingdom and many other countries, has a long and storied history. After centuries near the Tower of London, it relocated to Llantrisong, South Wales, in 1968, where it remains a state-of-the-art facility for coin production. Which country, surrounded by South Africa, gained its independence from Britain in 1966? Lesotho. Lesotho is a landlocked country entirely surrounded by the Republic of South Africa, making it one of only 3 independent states in the world that are enclaved within another country. Formerly a British protectorate known as Basutoland, it achieved full independence on October 4, 1966. In literature, what is the term for a person or group of people who oppose the main character or characters, in simple terms, the villain? Antagonist. An antagonist is a character or a group of characters who stand in opposition to the protagonist or main character. The antagonist often serves as an obstacle that the protagonist must overcome to achieve their goals, driving the conflict and narrative forward. Which state of the USA has a Union Jack on its state flag? Hawaii. The state flag of Hawaii is unique among U.S. state flags for incorporating the Union Jack of the United Kingdom in its upper canton. This design element reflects Hawaii's historical relationship with the British Empire, particularly from the late 18th and early 19th centuries when British influence was significant in the Hawaiian Kingdom. Which country was granted its independence from colonial rule on the 4th of July 1946, after being controlled since 1521 by Spain, Britain, the USA, Japan, and the USA, again? The Philippines. The Philippines endured centuries of colonial rule, starting with Spain in 1521, followed by a brief British occupation, and then American control after the Spanish-American War. After Japanese occupation during World War II, the Philippines was granted full independence by the United States on July 4, 1946. What name is given to art that depicts scenery such as mountains, valleys, trees, rivers, and forests, where sky is almost always included, and weather is usually an element of the composition? Landscape. Landscape art is a genre that depicts natural scenery, encompassing mountains, valleys, trees, rivers, and forests, often with the sky as a prominent element and weather conditions influencing the mood. This genre has been popular across various cultures and historical periods, allowing artists to explore the beauty and power of nature. Persia is the former name of which country? Iran. Persia, an ancient civilization, officially became known as Iran in 1935 under Reza Shah Pahlavi. The name, Iran, is derived from Aryan, meaning land of the Ions, and has historical roots dating back to the Sasanian era. Dr. Benjamin Spock wrote books on what subject? Childcare. Dr. Benjamin Spock was an American pediatrician whose book, Baby and Childcare, 1946, was one of the best-selling books of the 20th century. His progressive approach revolutionized parenting by advocating for parents to trust their own instincts and treat children with respect. Oscar Wilde, Adolf Hitler, and Jeffrey Archer have all written about their experiences in what? Prison. Oscar Wilde's De Profundis is a letter written during his imprisonment for gross indecency. Adolf Hitler dictated parts of Mein Kampf while incarcerated after the Beer Hall Putsch. Jeffrey Archer, a British author and former politician, wrote A Prison Diary during his time in prison for perjury and perverting the course of justice. Which British awards for songwriting and composing, a solid bronze sculpture of Euterpe, the muse of lyric poetry, are named after a Cardiff-born entertainer? Ivor Novello Awards. The Ivor Novello Awards, often referred to as the Ivors, are British music awards established in 1955 by the British Academy of Songwriters, Composers, and Authors, BASCA. They are named after the Cardiff-born composer, singer, and actor Ivor Novello, celebrating excellence in British music and songwriting. What is a sphygmomanometer used to measure? Blood pressure. A sphygmomanometer is a medical device used to measure blood pressure, typically consisting of an inflatable cuff and a mercury or aneroid manometer. It helps in diagnosing and monitoring hypertension and other cardiovascular conditions. Where was the first zoo in the United States, which opened on the 1st of July 1874 with 1,000 animals and an entry fee of 25 cents? Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Zoo, established in 1874, holds the distinction of being the first true zoological garden in the United States. It played a significant role in public education and wildlife conservation from its inception. What is dried in an oast house? Hops. An oast house, or hop kiln, is a building designed for drying hops as part of the brewing process. This drying is crucial for preserving the hops and developing their characteristic flavor and aroma used in beer production. What were Operation Storax, Operation Niblick, Operation Whetstone, Operation Flintlock and Operation Latchkey? Nuclear test series carried out in the USA. These operations were code names for various series of nuclear weapons tests conducted by the United States. They were part of a broader program to develop and test nuclear capabilities during the Cold War era. What is a pluviometer used to measure? Rainfall. A pluviometer, also known as a rain gauge, is an instrument used by meteorologists and hydrologists to measure the amount of liquid precipitation over a set period. Accurate rainfall data is essential for weather forecasting, agricultural planning, and water resource management. Who was President of the USA at the outbreak of World War I? Woodrow Wilson. Woodrow Wilson served as the 28th President of the United States from 1913 to 1921. He initially maintained U.S. neutrality during World War I but later led the country into the conflict in 1917, playing a crucial role in post-war peace efforts. In the 1950s, which country on the east coast of the Bay of Bengal was bordered by Pakistan, India, Tibet, China, French Indochina, and Siam? Burma. Burma, now Myanmar, occupied a critical geopolitical position in Southeast Asia in the 1950s, sharing borders with multiple significant entities. This configuration reflected the complex post-colonial landscape and the nascent Cold War dynamics in the region, influencing its foreign policy and domestic development. The flag of which country, consisting of 3 horizontal stripes of red, white, and blue, almost identical to that of the Netherlands, was first used in 1845 and officially adopted on June 23, 1972. Luxembourg. The national flag of Luxembourg features 3 horizontal stripes of red, white, and a lighter shade of blue, distinguishing it from the Netherlands flag which uses a darker blue. Although it was used unofficially since 1845, its design and specific colors were legally codified and officially adopted on June 23, 1972, solidifying its national identity. What was a popular international art design movement from 1925 until the 1940s, affecting the decorative arts and industrial design, fashion, painting, the graphic arts, and film, which was, at the time, seen to be elegant, glamorous, functional, and modern? Art Deco. Art Deco was a dominant international style that flourished from the 1920s to the 1940s, influencing a wide array of design disciplines. Characterized by rich colors, bold geometric shapes, and lavish ornamentation, it embodied modernity, luxury, and functionality, reflecting the optimism and technological progress of the interwar period. Who organized an Arab revolt against the Turks and wrote The 7 Pillars of Wisdom about his experiences? T. E. Lawrence. T. E. Lawrence, famously known as Lawrence of Arabia, was a British military officer who played a pivotal role in the Arab revolt against the Ottoman Empire during World War I. His highly influential memoir, 7 Pillars of Wisdom, provides a detailed account of his experiences and insights into the Arab nationalist movement and guerrilla warfare. Hideki Yukawa, who was the first to postulate the existence of particles in an atom of less mass than a proton and greater mass than an electron, was the first Japanese person to achieve what in 1955? Win a Nobel Prize. Hideki Yukawa, a brilliant theoretical physicist, made a groundbreaking prediction in 1935 regarding the existence of mesons, subatomic particles that mediate the strong nuclear force. For this profound contribution to nuclear physics, he was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1949, becoming the first Japanese individual to receive such an honor. In which country did the Tunguska event occur on June 30, 1908, believed to have been caused by the airburst of a large meteoroid or comet fragment? Russia. The Tunguska event was a massive explosion that occurred near the Podomene Tunguska River in Siberia, Russia, on June 30, 1908. It is widely attributed to the airburst of a large meteoroid or comet fragment at an altitude of 5 to 10 kilometers, causing widespread devastation over 2,000 square kilometers but leaving no impact crater. This event remains the largest known impact event on Earth in recorded history. Normally called a wolverine in North America, what is the largest carnivorous mammal in the weasel family, which is also known for its habit of hiding articles that are of no use to it? Glutton. The wolverine, gulo, also known as a glutton, is the largest terrestrial member of the weasel family, Mustelidae, known for its remarkable strength and ferocity. This highly adaptable predator and scavenger inhabits remote boreal and Arctic regions, where its robust build and powerful jaws enable it to thrive in harsh environments. Puttees are worn on what part of the body? Lower legs. Puttees are strips of cloth, typically wool, which are wrapped tightly around the lower leg from the ankle to below the knee. Historically, they were widely used, especially by military personnel and rural workers, to provide protection, support, and to prevent debris from entering footwear. Where is the stretch of water called the Gulf of Tartary? Between the Russian mainland and Sakhalin Island. The Gulf of Tartary is a strait in the northwest Pacific, separating the Russian island of Sakhalin from mainland Asia. It connects the Sea of Japan with the Sea of Okhotsk. Which country was controlled by Sweden from 1814, following the Napoleonic Wars, until 1905 when Sweden recognized its independence? Norway. Norway was in a personal union with Sweden from 1814, following the Napoleonic Wars, until 1905. This union was established by the Treaty of Kiel and dissolved peacefully after a period of increasing Norwegian nationalism. Until 1965, it was thought that which planet was synchronously tidally locked with the Sun, rotating once for each orbit and keeping the same face directed towards the Sun at all times, in the same way that the same side of the Moon always faces the Earth? Mercury. Until 1965, it was believed that Mercury was tidally locked with the Sun, similar to the Moon with Earth. Radar observations in 1965 revealed that Mercury actually rotates 3 times for every 2 orbits around the Sun, a 3:2 spin-orbit resonance. What airport was known as Idlewild Airport, when planned in the late 1930s, was renamed Major General Alexander E. Anderson Airport, when construction began in 1943, then New York International Airport, Anderson Field, when flights began in 1948, had another name change in 1963. John F. Kennedy International Airport. John F. Kennedy International Airport, a major international gateway, has undergone several name changes since its inception. It was renamed in 1963 to honor President John F. Kennedy following his assassination, becoming one of the busiest airports in the world. In which country, following Napoleon's final defeat in 1815 at the Battle of Waterloo, was the monarchy re-established, ending with the Revolution of 1848? France. Following Napoleon's defeat at Waterloo in 1815, the Bourbon monarchy was restored in France, ushering in a period known as the Bourbon Restoration. This re-established monarchy ultimately ended with the February Revolution of 1848, which led to the establishment of the Second French Republic. The Equitable Life Assurance Building in New York City, built in 1870, and 130 feet, 40 meters, high, was the first office building to be equipped with what? Passenger elevators. The Equitable Life Assurance Building, completed in 1870 in New York City, was a pioneering structure for its time. At 130 feet high, it was notable as the first office building to integrate passenger elevators, significantly influencing the design and feasibility of future high-rise constructions. In 1799, who discovered nitrous oxide, that made patients insensible to pain, the first true anesthetic? Sir Humphrey Davy. Sir Humphrey Davy, a prominent British chemist, discovered the anesthetic properties of nitrous oxide in 1799. Although he experimented with its use to relieve pain, it was not widely adopted as a surgical anesthetic until much later, after further research and practical application by others. What does a glazier work with? Glass. A glazier is a skilled tradesperson who specializes in cutting, installing, and removing glass. They work with various types of glass for windows, doors, skylights, and other structural elements in buildings. In medicine, which suffix denotes inflammation of? Itis. The suffix itis is widely used in medical terminology to indicate inflammation of an organ or tissue. Examples include appendicitis, inflammation of the appendix, and arthritis, inflammation of a joint. What is a terrifying and disturbing dream? Nightmare. A nightmare is a disturbing dream associated with negative feelings, such as anxiety or fear, that can cause the dreamer to awaken in distress. They are common experiences, particularly in children, and can sometimes be indicative of stress or trauma. What items are produced in a darkroom? Photographs. A darkroom is a light-tight space used for processing photographic film and paper. In this controlled environment, light-sensitive materials can be handled, developed, fixed, and washed without being exposed to ambient light, which would otherwise ruin them. In 1498, Vasco da Gama was the first European to reach which area by sea? India. Vasco da Gama's voyage to India in 1498 was a monumental achievement in the Age of Discovery. This expedition opened a direct sea route from Europe to Asia, fundamentally altering global trade routes and fostering direct economic and cultural exchanges between Europe and the East. What is the seven-branched candlestick, based on the candelabrum that was used in the temple in Jerusalem in ancient times, that is the national symbol of the State of Israel? Menorah. The menorah is an ancient seven-branched candelabrum, originally used in the tabernacle and the temple in Jerusalem. It serves as a prominent symbol in Judaism and is officially recognized as the national emblem of the modern State of Israel, representing light, wisdom, and divine presence. Which scientist has the following geographical features named after him? A sound in Tierra del Fuego, a mountain in the Andes, a sound in British Columbia's Queen Charlotte Islands and an Australian state capital? Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin was a pioneering English naturalist whose theory of evolution by natural selection fundamentally changed our understanding of life on Earth. His extensive travels, particularly on HMS Beagle, led to numerous geographical features being named in his honor, reflecting his significant contributions to science and exploration. Over one-third of which state of the USA is in the Arctic Circle? Alaska. Alaska, the largest U.S. state by area, extends significantly into the Arctic Circle. This geographical positioning results in unique climatic conditions, including extremely cold winters, long daylight hours in summer, and the phenomenon of the midnight sun and polar night in its northern regions. Who wrote the books, Studies on Hysteria, and The Interpretation of Dreams? Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud was an Austrian neurologist and the founder of psychoanalysis, a clinical method for treating psychopathology. His works, Studies on Hysteria, with Joseph Breuer, and The Interpretation of Dreams, are foundational texts in modern psychology, introducing concepts like the unconscious mind and dream analysis. Broken Arrow, Edmund, Enid, Lawton, Midwest City, Moore, Norman, Stillwater, and Tulsa are 9 of the 10 largest cities in which state of the USA? Oklahoma. This question tests knowledge of U.S. state geography. Oklahoma is a state located in the south-central region of the United States, known for its diverse landscape and significant energy sector. Oklahoma City and Tulsa are its two largest urban centers. Where is a complex of caves in southwestern France famous for its Paleolithic cave paintings consisting primarily of realistic images of large animals? Lascaux. The Lascaux Cave, located in the Dordogne region of southwestern France, is renowned for its magnificent Paleolithic cave paintings. These ancient artworks, dating back approximately 17,000 years, depict large animals such as horses, stags, and bulls, offering invaluable insights into early human artistic expression and culture. What 17th-century invention revolutionized mathematics by providing the first systematic link between Euclidean geometry and algebra, describing geometric shapes as algebraic equations involving the coordinates of the points lying on it? Cartesian coordinates. Cartesian coordinates, developed by René Descartes in the 17th century, revolutionized mathematics by establishing a systematic link between geometry and algebra. This system allows geometric shapes to be described using algebraic equations, where the position of a point is defined by its distances from perpendicular axes, forming the foundation of analytical geometry. Which Frenchman was the first to navigate the St. Lawrence River in Canada in 1535? Jacques Cartier. Jacques Cartier was a French explorer who made 3 voyages to North America. In 1535, he extensively explored the St. Lawrence River, claiming the land for France and naming it Canada. His expeditions were crucial in mapping the region and establishing early European claims in what would become New France. The headquarters of the United Nations is in which city? New York. The United Nations, UN, is an intergovernmental organization established to promote international cooperation and maintain international peace and security. Its principal headquarters are located in New York City, serving as a central hub for global diplomacy and multilateral discussions among member states. What is the inner core of the Earth believed to consist of? Iron-nickel alloy. The Earth's inner core is the innermost geological layer of the planet. It is primarily believed to consist of a solid iron-nickel alloy, with trace amounts of other elements. This immense sphere of solid metal is under extreme pressure and temperature, contributing to Earth's magnetic field. What international scientific effort, encompassing 11 earth sciences and lasting from July 1, 1957, to December 31, 1958, was supported by both the USA and the USSR, each of whom launched a satellite? The International Geophysical Year. The International Geophysical Year, IGY, was a global scientific program from July 1957 to December 1958, involving 67 nations during the Cold War. It focused on 11 earth sciences, including meteorology, oceanography, and space research, leading to significant discoveries and the launch of the first artificial satellites by the USA and USSR. James Boswell is best known for his biography of whom? Samuel Johnson. James Boswell's The Life of Samuel Johnson, D., is a seminal work in English literature, published in 1791. It is considered one of the greatest biographies ever written, providing an intimate and detailed account of the life and conversations of the prominent 18th-century literary figure, Samuel Johnson. Who secured the contract from the British government in 1838 to carry mail between Liverpool, Halifax, and Boston, and subsequently formed the British and North American Royal Mail Steam Packet Company with 4 ships? Samuel Cunard. Samuel Cunard was a Canadian shipping magnate who founded the Cunard Line in 1840, initially as the British and North American Royal Mail Steam Packet Company. He secured a vital contract for transatlantic mail service, establishing a reliable and prestigious steamship service that played a significant role in maritime history. What name is given to lung-breathing aquatic mammals such as whales, porpoises, and dolphins? Cetacea. Cetacea is an order of marine mammals that includes whales, dolphins, and porpoises. These highly adapted aquatic creatures are characterized by their streamlined bodies, horizontal flukes, and the ability to breathe air through blowholes located on top of their heads. In Victorian times, what item of wardrobe was known as a stovepipe? Hat. A stovepipe hat refers to a tall, cylindrical top hat, which was a prominent fashion accessory for men during the Victorian era. Its distinctive shape, resembling a stovepipe, made it a symbol of status and formal wear, particularly popular in the mid-19th century. The rock musical, Rent, about a group of artists and musicians struggling to survive and create in New York's Lower East Side under the shadow of AIDS, is based on which Puccini opera? La Bohème. The critically acclaimed rock musical, Rent, created by Jonathan Larson, is a modern adaptation of Giacomo Puccini's opera, La Bohème. Both works explore themes of poverty, art, love, and loss among young artists, though Rent updates the setting to 1990s New York and addresses contemporary issues like the AIDS epidemic. According to Samuel Taylor Coleridge, who had a long grey beard and a glittering eye. The Ancient Mariner. This iconic description refers to the titular character in Samuel Taylor Coleridge's famous poem, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, published in 1798. The mariner, compelled to share his cautionary tale, captivates a wedding guest with his mesmerizing gaze and recounts his supernatural voyage and its consequences. What was the first name of the playwright Williams who wrote A Streetcar Named Desire? Tennessee. Tennessee Williams, born Thomas Lanier Williams III, was a major American playwright of the 20th century. A Streetcar Named Desire, 1947, is one of his most acclaimed works, earning him the Pulitzer Prize for Drama. What does a spelunker do as a hobby? Explores caves. A spelunker is an individual who explores caves as a hobby. This activity is also known as caving and often involves specialized equipment and knowledge of geology and safety. What is the unit of force which, acting upon a mass of 1 gram, will produce an acceleration of 1 centimeter per second? Dyne. The dyne is a unit of force specified in the centimeter gram second (CGS) system of units. It is defined as the force required to accelerate a mass of 1 gram at a rate of 1 centimeter per second squared, 1 gram centimeter per square second. Meerkats are native to which continent? Africa. Meerkats are small mongooses known for their distinctive upright posture and social behavior. They are native to the Kalahari Desert in Botswana, as well as parts of South Africa and Angola, all located in Africa. What is the term for a 2-week period? Fortnight. A fortnight is a unit of time equal to 2 weeks, or 14 days. The word derives from Old English, Fairwatine Nihat, meaning 14 nights. Who founded the Society of Jesus, Jesuits? Ignatius Loyola. Saint Ignatius of Loyola founded the Society of Jesus, also known as the Jesuits, in 1540. This Catholic religious order played a significant role in the Counter-Reformation and is renowned for its contributions to education and missionary work worldwide. How is it generally accepted that Coney Island in New York got its name? It was overrun by rabbits. Coney Island, a peninsula in Brooklyn, New York City, is widely believed to have derived its name from the Dutch word, konijn eiland, meaning, rabbit island. This refers to the numerous wild rabbits that inhabited the area in colonial times. The phrase, Mountain Standard Time Zone, refers to which mountains? Rockies. The Mountain Standard Time Zone, MST, is one of the time zones used in North America. It is named after the Rocky Mountains, which stretch across parts of the western United States and Canada, defining much of the geographical region it covers. What is the common name for London's criminal court? Old Bailey. The Old Bailey is the popular name for the Central Criminal Court of England and Wales, located in central London. It is renowned for high-profile criminal cases and has been a site of justice for centuries, with its current building dating back to the early 20th century. What name is given to a young goat? Kid. A young goat is called a kid. This term is commonly used for the offspring of various animals, but most specifically refers to a juvenile goat. What was the first name of the painter Monet? Claude. Claude Monet was a French painter and the founder of French Impressionist painting, particularly known for his series of water lilies and haystacks. His influential work gave Impressionism its name when his painting, Impression, Soleil Levant, Impression, Sunrise, was exhibited. Which German was the first to satisfactorily demonstrate the existence of electromagnetic waves by building an apparatus to produce and detect VHF and UHF radio waves? Heinrich Rudolf Hertz. Heinrich Rudolf Hertz was a German physicist who conclusively proved the existence of electromagnetic waves in 1887. His experiments confirmed James Clerk Maxwell's theory, laying the groundwork for radio, television, and other wireless communication technologies. What condition caused by spasm of arterioles and sometimes small veins, results in the formation of small raised areas that are white or red, affecting mainly fingers and toes, which later throb and itch? Chilblains. Chilblains, also known as pernio, are small itchy, red, or purple swellings that appear on the skin, typically on the fingers, toes, ears, and nose. They are a common reaction to cold temperatures, causing localized inflammation and discomfort due to abnormal constriction and dilation of small blood vessels. In 1856, who invented the process whereby 5 tons of steel could be made in 30 minutes instead of in 50 pounds batches over 10 days and nights, at a tenth of the cost? Henry Bessemer. Henry Bessemer was a British inventor whose Bessemer process, patented in 1856, revolutionized steel production. This groundbreaking method allowed for the mass production of steel from molten pig iron, drastically reducing costs and time, and paving the way for the Second Industrial Revolution. In 1994, the National Sports of Canada Act declared which two sports as the National Sports of Canada? Ice hockey, winter, and lacrosse, summer. The National Sports of Canada Act, enacted in 1994, officially recognized ice hockey as Canada's national winter sport and lacrosse as its national summer sport. This legislation formally enshrines two deeply rooted cultural activities within the national identity of Canada. Christian II was the last king of where? A united Scandinavia. Christian II was the last king of the Kalmar Union, which encompassed a united Scandinavia, Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, before Sweden's definitive secession. His reign, marked by attempts to strengthen royal power and suppress nobility, ultimately led to the dissolution of the Union and his eventual deposition. Carcinoma is a type of what? Cancer. Carcinoma is a type of cancer that originates in the epithelial cells, which are cells that line the internal and external surfaces of the body. It is the most common form of cancer, accounting for a vast majority of all diagnosed cases. What happened to William Tyndale, who translated much of the Bible into English and published it between 1525 and 1530, in Antwerp in 1536? He was strangled and burnt at the stake as a heretic. William Tyndale was an English scholar who became a leading figure in the Protestant Reformation. His translation of the Bible into English from the original Greek and Hebrew made scripture accessible to the common people, profoundly influencing the English language and subsequent Bible translations. He was executed for heresy by the Holy Roman Empire at the instigation of the English government. Who, in 1916, was the first woman to be elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, the first female member of the Congress, and the only woman to be elected to Congress from Montana? Jeannette Rankin. Jeannette Rankin was a groundbreaking figure in American politics, being the first woman ever elected to the U.S. Congress. A staunch pacifist, she famously voted against the United States' entry into both World War I and World War II, a stance that defined her political career and legacy. What name is given to raised parts of the skin when frightened or cold? Goosebumps. Goosebumps, also known as piloerection or cutis anserina, are a temporary local change in the skin. They are caused by the contraction of tiny muscles attached to hair follicles, making the hair stand erect and causing the skin to appear bumpy, typically in response to cold or strong emotions like fear. The word omnibus is a common form of public transport taken directly from Latin. What does it mean? For all. The word omnibus derives from the Latin dative plural of omnis, meaning for all. This reflects its original function as a public conveyance intended for everyone. The term has since expanded to describe anything encompassing multiple items or purposes, such as an omnibus bill in legislation. who, co-founders of the Spartacus League in January 1916, were executed in Berlin in January 1919? Rosa Luxemburg and Karl Liebknecht. Rosa Luxemburg and Karl Liebknecht were prominent Marxist theorists and revolutionary socialists in Germany, co-founding the Spartacus League during World War I. They played a crucial role in the Spartacist uprising in January 1919, a general strike and armed revolt in Berlin, for which they were brutally murdered. Which company, founded in 1898 by Frank Seiberling, was named after the inventor of vulcanized rubber, Charles Goodyear, almost 4 decades after his death? Goodyear. Charles Goodyear invented vulcanized rubber, a crucial process that greatly improved the material's durability and utility. The Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company was later founded by Frank Seiberling in 1898, honoring Goodyear's significant contribution to material science and industrial development. This highlights the enduring legacy of scientific innovation in industrial history. Which holy book is composed of 2 main parts, the Mishnah and the Gemara, with the latter differing between its Jerusalem and Babylonian versions? The Talmud. The Talmud is a central text of Rabbinic Judaism, providing a comprehensive record of rabbinic discussions on Jewish law, ethics, customs, and history. It consists of the Mishnah, a written compilation of Jewish oral law, and the Gemara, which serves as a rabbinic commentary and analysis of the Mishnah. There are 2 primary versions, the Babylonian Talmud and the Jerusalem, or Palestinian, Talmud, distinguished by their respective Gemara sections. Traditionally, in which month are presidential elections held in the USA? November. In the United States, federal elections, including the presidential elections, are traditionally held on the Tuesday following the first Monday in November. This timing was established in the 19th century to accommodate the agricultural calendar and religious practices, allowing farmers to complete harvests and travel to polling stations after Sunday worship. When part of Ireland was given a new constitution in 1937, what name was given to it? Éire, or Ireland. In 1937, a new constitution was adopted by the Irish Free State, which formally renamed the state to Éire, Ireland. This constitution declared Ireland a sovereign, independent, and democratic state, effectively replacing the previous 1922 constitution and altering its relationship with the British Commonwealth. Geologically speaking, where would one stand on land at the southernmost point of the North American continental plate? Guatemala. Guatemala is situated at a key geological junction in Central America, marking the southernmost land extent of the North American continental plate. The country's complex geology results from the dynamic interaction of the North American, Caribbean, and co-coast tectonic plates, leading to significant seismic activity and a diverse physiography. Who first employed his evolving methodology of satyagraha, devotion to the truth, or non-violent protest in 1906 while a lawyer in South Africa during the Indian community's struggle for civil rights to protest against registration laws in the new state of Transvaal? Mohandas Gandhi. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, known as Mahatma Gandhi, developed his philosophy of satyagraha, meaning truth force, in South Africa. He first applied this nonviolent resistance in 1906 to protest discriminatory laws against the Indian community in Transvaal. This methodology later became a cornerstone of India's independence movement. Whereas, the Royal Tennis Court, a real tennis court built for Henry VIII of England who played there from 1528, that is still home to an active, real tennis club? Hampton Court. The Royal Tennis Court at Hampton Court Palace is a historic, real tennis court built for King Henry VIII in 1528. Real tennis is the original racket sport from which modern lawn tennis evolved. This court remains active, preserving a significant piece of sporting and royal history. What color does red litmus paper turn when in contact with alkaline? Blue. Litmus paper is a common pH indicator used in chemistry. Red litmus paper turns blue in the presence of an alkaline, basic, solution, indicating a pH greater than 7. Conversely, blue litmus paper turns red in acidic solutions. Where was the 9-hour amphibious operation on the 19th of August 1942 that led to the death and injury of 3,369 of 5,000 Canadians and the loss of the ship, Berkeley, while German casualties were less than 600? Deep. The Deep raid was a disastrous Allied amphibious attack on the German-occupied port of Dieppe, France, on August 19, 1942. Primarily involving Canadian troops, the raid resulted in heavy casualties for the Allies, highlighting critical lessons for future large-scale amphibious operations like D-Day. What is the deepest known part of the world's oceans, and the deepest location on the surface of the Earth's crust? The Mariana Trench. The Mariana Trench, located in the western Pacific Ocean near the Mariana Islands, is the deepest oceanic trench on Earth. Its deepest point, the Challenger Deep, extends approximately 10,984 meters, 36,037 feet, below sea level, making it the lowest elevation on Earth's surface. As a first step to manufacturing steel, iron is extracted from ore by removing oxygen and combining it with what element? Carbon. The primary method for producing steel involves extracting iron from its ore in a blast furnace, where oxygen is removed. The molten iron is then combined with carbon, which strengthens it and makes it more malleable, transforming it into various types of steel. What is a musical term for slowing down? Rallentando. Rallentando is an Italian musical term indicating a gradual decrease in tempo, often accompanied by a broadening of sound. It is a common dynamic instruction used in classical music to create expressive effects. In August 1830, the audience was so stirred by a performance of Auber's La Muette de Portici at their capital's opera house that it led to what successful fight for independence? The Belgian Revolution. The Belgian Revolution, which led to Belgium's independence from the United Kingdom of the Netherlands, was significantly sparked by nationalist sentiment aroused during a performance of Daniel Auber's opera, La Muette de Portici, in Brussels on August 25, 1830. This event escalated into a widespread uprising. Dan Quayle was vice president to which president of the USA? George H. Bush. Dan Quayle served as the 44th Vice President of the United States under President George H. W. Bush from 1989 to 1993. Prior to this, he was a U.S. Representative and Senator for Indiana. The Mad Hatter in Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland was stereotypical of milliners making felt hats, who used what chemical to separate the fur from the pelt and mat it together? Mercury. Historically, hat makers used mercury compounds, specifically mercurous nitrate, in the process of felting fur to make hats. Exposure to mercury caused neurological damage, leading to symptoms like tremors and confused speech, a condition colloquially known as Mad Hatter disease, which inspired Lewis Carroll's character. Who was the fourth man in the scandal that rocked the British government between 1951 and 1963 when it was discovered that members of the Foreign Office and intelligence services were spies for the Russians? Anthony Blunt. Anthony Blunt was a British art historian and Soviet spy who served as an MI5 officer and later as surveyor of the Queen's pictures. He was exposed in 1979 as the fourth man in the infamous Cambridge 5 spy ring, which involved high-ranking British officials passing intelligence to the Soviet Union during the Cold War. The Vatican erected a statue inside its walls of which person who was convicted by the Catholic Church of heresy in 1633 and sentenced to house arrest for life? Galileo. Galileo Galilei was an Italian astronomer, physicist, and engineer. His heliocentric views, which placed the sun at the center of the universe, brought him into conflict with the Catholic Church, leading to his conviction for heresy in 1633. In astronomy, what is the word applied to the alignment of three or more celestial bodies in the same gravitational system along a straight line? Syzygy. Syzygy describes the alignment of three or more celestial bodies in a gravitational system, such as the Sun, Earth, and Moon during an eclipse. This alignment is a significant astronomical event, impacting tidal forces and orbital mechanics. Nicholas II was the last emperor of which country until he abdicated following the February Revolution of 1917? Russia. Nicholas II was the last emperor of Russia, reigning from 1894 until his forced abdication in March 1917 during the February Revolution. His reign ended the Romanov dynasty and paved the way for the Bolshevik Revolution later that year. What is the most southerly town in Chile, on the Straits of Magellan? Punta Arenas. Punta Arenas is a significant port city located in southern Chile, on the Brunswick Peninsula, north of the Strait of Magellan. It serves as a gateway to the Antarctic and is known for its strategic location and historical importance in maritime trade. The stars Betelgeuse, Rigel, Bellatrix, Mintica, Alnilam, and Alnitak are found in which constellation? Orion. The constellation Orion is one of the most prominent and recognizable constellations in the night sky. It is home to several bright stars, including Betelgeuse, a red supergiant, Rigel, a blue supergiant, and the three stars forming Orion's belt, Mintica, Alnilam, and Alnitak. What U.S. policy, introduced in 1823, declared that efforts by European governments to colonize land or interfere with states in the Americas would be viewed by the USA as acts of aggression requiring U.S. intervention, subsequently becoming one of the longest-standing tenets of U.S. foreign policy? The Monroe Doctrine. The Monroe Doctrine was a U.S. foreign policy initiative articulated by President James Monroe in 1823. It declared that European powers should not colonize or interfere in the affairs of sovereign nations in the Americas, marking a significant assertion of U.S. influence in the Western Hemisphere and a cornerstone of its foreign relations for decades. What is the nationality of the renowned playwright Henrik Ibsen? Norwegian. Henrik Ibsen, a prominent figure in world literature, was a Norwegian playwright and theatre director. Often referred to as the father of modern realism, in theatre, his influential works like A Doll's House and Hedda Gabler reshaped European drama and addressed social and moral issues with psychological depth. The Caesars ruled which ancient empire? Roman. The title, Caesar, initially referred to Julius Caesar and later became an imperial title associated with the emperors of the Roman Empire. This vast and powerful ancient civilization, spanning across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East, left an indelible legacy on Western law, architecture, language, and governance. What did Bayer name its new over-the-counter drug in 1898, developed and advertised as a non-addictive morphine substitute and cough suppressant? Heroin. In 1898, the pharmaceutical company Bayer marketed diacetylmorphine under the brand name Heroin, promoting it as a safe, non-addictive cough suppressant and a superior alternative to morphine. This early commercialization tragically highlights a profound misunderstanding of the drug's highly addictive properties, which led to its widespread misuse and subsequent prohibition. What equation is celebrated for its mathematical beauty, because it uniquely combines three basic arithmetic operations, addition, multiplication, and exponentiation, and links five fundamental mathematical constants, 0, 1, pi, e, Euler's number, and I, the imaginary unit. Euler's identity. Euler's identity, expressed as E caret, I pi, plus 1 equals 0, is considered one of the most elegant formulas in mathematics. It remarkably connects 5 fundamental constants in a single equation, representing a deep and beautiful relationship across different branches of mathematics, including algebra, calculus, and complex analysis. What is the name, currently used for the principal chamber of the Parliament of the Republic of Ireland, that was given by Sinn Féin to the revolutionary Parliament of the unilaterally declared Irish Republic they established in Dublin in 1919? Dáil Éireann. Dáil Éireann, meaning, Assembly of Ireland, was the name given by Sinn Féin to the revolutionary Parliament established in Dublin in 1919, marking a significant step towards Irish independence. Today, Dáil Éireann serves as the lower house and principal chamber of the Oireachtas, the legislature of the Republic of Ireland, where elected members debate and pass laws. What is the meaning of corpus delicti? It must be proven that a crime occurred before one can be convicted of committing it. Corpus delicti is a Latin legal term meaning body of the crime. It refers to the principle that a crime must be proven to have occurred before anyone can be convicted of committing it, requiring evidence that an injury or loss was caused by a criminal act. Which scholar and lawyer, who became Speaker of the House of Commons and Treasurer of the Exchequer, was beheaded for treason in 1534 after disagreeing with Henry VIII being head of the Church? Sir Thomas More. Sir Thomas More was an English lawyer, social philosopher, humanist, and statesman. He was executed for treason in 1534 for refusing to accept the Act of Supremacy, which would have recognized Henry VIII as the head of the Church of England, making him a significant figure in the English Reformation. Which state of the USA calls itself the Lone Star State? Texas. Texas is famously known as the Lone Star State, a nickname derived from the single star on its state flag. This symbol represents the state's solidarity in its struggle for independence from Mexico and its history as an independent republic. Which English sculptor's famous works in London include the lions at the British Museum, Peter Pan, in Kensington Gardens, and the Edith Cavell Memorial, outside the National Portrait Gallery? Sir George Frampton. Sir George Frampton was a prominent English sculptor of the late 19th and early 20th centuries, renowned for his public artworks across London. His notable contributions include the iconic lions guarding the British Museum, the whimsical Peter Pan statue, and the poignant Edith Cavell Memorial. In which field is Auguste Escoffier famous? Cookery. Auguste Escoffier was a revolutionary French chef and restaurateur who significantly modernized and systematized French cooking. He is credited with establishing the Brigade de Cuisine system and developing numerous classic recipes, profoundly shaping modern haute cuisine. In September 2009, which country proposed the chemical castration of pedophiles? Poland. This question refers to a controversial proposal made in Poland in 2009 to implement chemical castration for repeat sex offenders, particularly pedophiles. Such measures often spark extensive public debate regarding human rights, rehabilitation versus punishment, and the effectiveness of such interventions in preventing reoffending. What system of musical notation, originating in the 16th century, shows the fingering of notes on a fretted fingerboard? Tablature. Tablature, often shortened to tab, is a form of musical notation that indicates instrumental fingering and fret positions rather than musical pitches. Dating back to the 16th century, it is widely used for fretted string instruments like guitars, lutes, and basses, offering a direct way to show players where to place their fingers. What system specifies each point uniquely in a plane by a pair of numerical coordinates, which are the signed distances from the point to two fixed perpendicular directed lines? A Cartesian coordinate system. A Cartesian coordinate system, named after René Descartes, is a mathematical system used to uniquely specify each point in a plane by a pair of numerical coordinates, x, y. These coordinates represent the signed distances from the point to two fixed perpendicular directed lines, known as the x-axis and y-axis. This system is fundamental in geometry, algebra, and calculus for representing and analyzing relationships between points, lines, and shapes. Which country was ruled between 1971 and 1986 by Idi Amin, Milton Obote, General Tito Okello, and Yoweri Museveni? Uganda. Uganda experienced a tumultuous period between 1971 and 1986, marked by significant political instability and a succession of leaders. This era included the dictatorial rule of Idi Amin, the return and second presidency of Milton Obote, a brief military regime under General Tito Okello, and ultimately the ascent of Yoweri Museveni, who took power in 1986. Duffel coats were named after a town in which country? Belgium. Duffel coats derive their name from Duffel, a town located in the province of Antwerp, Belgium. This town was historically known for its production of a thick, coarse woolen cloth, also called duffel. This durable material became characteristic of the heavy, hooded coats, which were notably adopted by various navies, including the British Royal Navy. What is an eye defect due to the abnormal formation of the cornea or lens, resulting in an inability to see horizontal and vertical objects clearly simultaneously? Astigmatism. Astigmatism is a common refractive error caused by an imperfect curvature of the eye's cornea or lens, leading to an irregular focal point. This abnormality results in blurred or distorted vision at all distances, as light is not focused evenly on the retina, making it difficult to perceive horizontal and vertical lines clearly at the same time. It can often be corrected with glasses, contact lenses, or refractive surgery. Until the introduction of the euro on the 1st of January 2002, which country had the Deutsche Mark as its basic currency unit? Germany. The Deutsche Mark (DM) was the official currency of West Germany from 1948 and, following reunification, of all of Germany until the introduction of the euro. Widely regarded as a symbol of Germany's economic strength and stability, it was one of the most respected and influential currencies globally. The euro replaced the Deutsche Mark as part of the European monetary integration process on January 1, 2002. The matched grip, molar method, open, rudiment, and traditional grip are terms used in playing what instrument? Drums. These terms refer to various techniques and styles used in drumming, particularly concerning how drumsticks are held and manipulated. The matched grip involves holding both sticks identically, while the traditional grip is historically associated with snare drumming, illustrating the diverse approaches to percussive articulation and technique. These methods are fundamental to mastering drum performance across different musical genres. Which Scottish ballerina, known for her international debut in 1941 and marriage to Ludovic Kennedy in 1950, also appeared in films from 1948 to 1960 before her death in 2006? Moira Shearer. Moira Shearer was a celebrated Scottish ballerina and actress, most famously known for her role in the 1948 film, The Red Shoes. Her career spanned both classical ballet and cinema, making her a significant figure in 20th-century performing arts. At which location did Malcolm Campbell establish a water speed record of 141.74 meters p.h. in 1938? Coniston Water. Sir Malcolm Campbell was a British speed record breaker on land and water. He set multiple world records, including this water speed record on Coniston Water, England, continuing his legacy of pushing the boundaries of automotive and marine speed. To which animal family does an impala belong? Antelope. The impala is a medium-sized antelope found in eastern and southern Africa. They are known for their remarkable leaping ability and distinct black and white markings, playing a crucial role in their ecosystem. Which 182-year-old English newspaper transitioned to a free distribution model in October 2009? The Evening Standard. The Evening Standard, a prominent London newspaper, made the significant decision in 2009 to become a free publication. This move aimed to boost readership and advertising revenue in a challenging media landscape. Who served as the first President of the United States of America? George Washington. George Washington led the Continental Army to victory during the American Revolutionary War and presided over the Constitutional Convention. He is revered as the father of his country, and served 2 terms as president from 1789 to 1797.